Hello and welcome back to Everyman Prepping. In today's video, we're going to talk about meal extenders and meat extenders. Things in your pantry that you have already saved up that you can use to make your meals go further and make your meat go further. And why would we want to do this? Well, there's a food shortage going on, so you might not be able to get the ingredients that you used to use before. You might not be able to get the meat you used to use before, as much of it. And we have inflation and high prices. So you might be able to find that meat product or that dinner item to make, but you can't afford to buy as much of it. You still want to use it in your dish. You just need something to go along with it to increase its bulk, to make it go further so it still fills up your belly and your family's belly. So let's take this out. I made a couple slideshows you can see, and feel free to pause this throughout the video. If you need to write these down, go ahead and do that, and then take your notes as we go along here. And also, as we go through this video, please like, subscribe, share, and more importantly, comment below what you would use for extenders, both in meat or in other products or other dishes that help, economically. This list is for not economically extending meals, but also nutritiously. We just don't want to put junk in there. We want to put stuff that is going to be healthy for you as well as you stretch out your meal and stretch out your dollar. So first here we can see we have the dinner meal extenders. First item on there is lentils. I know a lot of people don't like beans and lentils, and they don't want to try them. Not really a fan of it either, but I do eat them if you need to. There's a lot of ways to hide them in meals, so you can't really taste them. And for lentils, you can put these in soups and stews and casseroles, and we'll get into more in the meat section, but you can put in all that. And there's different kinds. There's red, brown, green. I prefer the red. I find them the most mild tasting, and they're very easy to cook. You don't have to soak them as long, and they don't have to cook as long. You can soak them for like 10 minutes, and they cook up really good. They get mushy, so they can be hidden in foods. You can grind them, but start with a little bit of lentils, and put them in there. See what if you like them or your family likes them. Add a little more next time, but they can be picked up relatively inexpensively when you add it to whatever dish you're making. They're full of protein and nutritional value, so it's a great option. Next on there is quinoa. Quinoa is a grain, but it's just not a carb. It has a lot of protein, so it's very healthy. And it's a rice and pasta substitute. So if you are low on rice, you're low on pasta, and you still want to make the dish, throw some quinoa in there. Or if you just want to go further and make more of it, put the quinoa in there. It'll mix in great, and like I said, you'll get the nutritional value that's very high in protein as well. Next, we got garbanzo beans or chickpeas. For them, they can be put in salads, soups, and stews. A lot of fiber, a lot of protein. They'll fill you up, so they're good to put into a dish that is maybe looking a little lean. You add those in there, bulks it up a lot, fills the bellies up. Next we have on there is beans. And this could be your cannelloni beans, your navy beans, whatever beans, pinto, black, just beans in general. Like I said, a lot of people don't like them. A lot of people like them a lot. Just you can see what meals you can mix them in with. Like I said, you could always put them in a stew or a soup or a casserole. They always go in there. Find the bean that you or your family likes and use that. Beans are also great in pasta. Italians, have a lot of Italians love a dish that has pasta with beans in it. Mostly use the cannelloni, some use navy, but in the pasta sauce with the spaghetti or other macaroni, it's a great dish. So think about beans in your pasta. Adds protein, which is very nutritious. If you don't have meat, you can use that for your protein source. And the pasta sauce makes them taste pretty good. Next on the list, we see wheat berries. Now, you had wheat berries in your long-term storage because you're thinking, well, I have a mill, so I'm going to use it for flour. Or I'm going to use them for microgreens. I'm going to sprout them and do them for microgreens, and all that's good. But you can also eat the wheat berries as they are, and they're great filler as well, full of carbohydrates, obviously. So you could take your wheat berries, you soak them, you boil them, in water, you cook them a little bit, and they soften up. Then you can add them to soups, stews, casseroles, just as an ingredient to other dishes on top, stir fries, whatever. They're great filler. They're great to bulk up meals as wheat berries, so don't forget about those. And then, of course, we have rice. As a prepper, you have plenty of rice on hand and stored in long-term storage. It's a great carbohydrate added. Rice goes with a lot of dishes, so, of course, rice is in your pantry. The next four here aren't long-term storage types. In the winter months, fall, winter, they might not be in your pantry. unless you freeze dried them, canned them, or dehydrated them, which you can do to all of them. So that's potatoes, cauliflower, zucchini, and spinach. If it's summertime, you're going to pull them out of the garden, but all four of those are great. So what do you do with potatoes? Potatoes can go in everything from soups, stews, casseroles, pasta sauces to bulk it up. You can shred it and cook them with other veggies. Potatoes, as you know, they're starchy, so they're going to fill you up. Great thing to use. Cauliflower, great in pastas and soups and everything along with that. Zucchini can be cooked shredded. You shred it up, mix it with potatoes and an egg. You mix that all up, makes a great dish, very bulky, very filling. And of course, spinach, you can add that to your soups, casseroles. The common theme here, if you've noticed, is soups, stews, and casseroles are a way to extend food. And you'll see that in the past, the Depression, the poor people, when they had to make food, they make a soup or a stew, throw a little bit of meat or something they had in there, and add other stuff to it to extend it to feed a bunch of people. And so take that in consideration when you're looking for a meal plan. Think of soup, stew, or casserole. Add these things to it, and you'll be able to feed more people economically. All this stuff's on here pretty economically cheap and nutritious. The stuff won't hurt your health. In fact, it'll help you. They're all quite healthy. So let's go on to the next item here. Here we have meat extenders. This is important to talk about because meat's expensive. It can be in short supply. Whether it be from the pigs and the cows that were sent to slaughter early because of the drought, so now there's a shorter supply, or it's an economic shortage because it's so darn expensive. It's hard to get the pork, the beef, the chicken, the turkey, whatever. You still want to make that dish. You still want to eat meat, very high in protein, very good to eat meat. But you would need it to stretch. You need to feed more people, feed your family like you used to, but you're just buying less of it. So how can we make that meat go further? So this is what we have here. So we have breadcrumbs. I'd also put on here with that is cracker crumbs. So and all these here are going to basically be with ground products. A lot of these go into ground beef, ground meats, ground beef, ground pork. Whether you're making a sausage or you're just grinding up the pork. I wouldn't say ground chicken unless you canned your chicken and then it comes out very soft and shredded. You can add this stuff to that as well. But you're going to see it in meatloafs, in hamburger patties, and meatballs, and any other ground food ground item that you're making. But anyway, breadcrumbs, cracker crumbs. When you're making your hamburger, whatever, pack it in there, bulks it up, gives it a carbohydrate. It makes it a lot more. You can almost double your substance there. Wouldn't quite go double, but you can add a lot to it. Same with oats. So this is just your oatmeal. You stored them for long term because you're eating oats for oatmeal in the morning. You're adding it to other stuff you're baking, but you can also add it to your ground meat products. Rice, full-on cooked rice. It'll bulk up your meatballs and your meatloaf and all that as well. Rice is very versatile, as you can see. It's on both lists. Grated veggies. So if you want to grate some cauliflower, you want to grate some zucchini, add it into your ground beef products, ground pork. Works out great as well. Plus adds a vegetable in there. So you're getting more food, it's stretching it out, and it's nutritious. And you see, once again on the list, here's lentils or other beans. Like I said, you can cook them and add them in there, a little at a time. Make a hamburger, add red lentils in there, add a quarter at a time, a quarter cup maybe, whatever. Add a little bit, try it out, see if you and your family likes it. Do they even notice it? Then you start increasing it because you can get lentils cheaper than you can beef, and that makes your beef go further. You can do other beans as well. If you have a mill, because you have your wheat berries you want to grind, you can grind up lentils and beans into a powder and put them there as powder form as well. So try that if you want another option. On here I found nuts. I've never tried the nuts, but supposedly almonds and walnuts can be put into ground meat products as well to bulk them up. Never tried it. If you had, write in the comments below. Let us know how that works. Flour. Flour goes along with the bread, breadcrumbs and all that. It's a thickener. I wouldn't add too much. It's going to taste a little, like flour. It's going to taste a little strange if you add a lot of flour, but you can add a little bit to your ground products as you make them, and it will help stretch them out a little further. Now we get to potatoes. Potatoes are good to add here too. If you're making a hamburger, want to add some mashed potato in there, it'll extend the size of that burger patty, that meatball, by bulking it up with a nice carbohydrate. And then we have rice flour. If you didn't want to write out grains of rice because you think that's strange, you can grind up your rice into a flour and add that in. That works good as well. Lastly on here, some of you, this will work, some won't. Eggs. Eggs are scarce right now, in the shortage. They're also very expensive. So do you want to use it in your meat extender? You might not. But if you have chickens, if you're able to get them, you have them on hand, you have chickens, and you have enough eggs to do this, it's a great meat extender. They have protein. It adds a viscosity to it, through the white, and really, adds moisture to it. So when you add your breadcrumb or your oat or your flour, dries it up. But you add a couple eggs in the mix also, it kind of helps out in that. So if you can imagine, you have a little bit of meat. You used to have like maybe hamburgers out of a pound, but now you can only afford a half a pound. So you got to make up a half a pound of other stuff to still feed your family. So, you can throw breadcrumbs in there. You're going to throw a little potato in there. You're going to throw a couple of eggs in there, a little flour. Mix and match some of these in here. See what works for you, your taste buds, your texture, what you like. And you can extend it and then still have your hamburger, your meatballs, your meatloaf, and everybody's happy. And if you threw a couple of vegetables in there, maybe they're a little healthier even. So that's what I got here. Those are my two lists I have. If you have anything to add, both on meat extenders or on meal extenders, please write it in the comments below. If you have questions about what would be good to use or what you would like to try, or has someone tried something, pose the question below. Someone will get back to you. And I'd love to see what your guys' ideas are. So that's all I have for now. Until next time, keep your ear to the ground and head on a swivel.